Hello, and thank you so much for taking this time to listen. Today we're talking about the codependent enmeshed relationship with one's mother. Well, we've got an individual, as you can see here, who is having trouble with her mother, okay? The type of trouble that isn't so easy to rise above when you've got that close connection, or you feel guilty, or you once were very close but not so much. You have your own family, and some of you all have gone through this, and so I welcome you to leave comments and encourage this listener. She says, I feel I've had a codependent enmeshed relationship with my mom, who I suspect has some narcissistic traits. Let's stop right there. First of all, we are going to take a look once again at codependent, because when she commented on this particular video that I had, it was dealing with codependency. So just a little refresher, right? We're going to break it down, and we want to go to the there's one particular site I absolutely love, and this one is codependent psychology, but it's on Psychology Today. There we go. Okay. This particular website, there's a few things that we're going to talk about dealing with codependency that wasn't covered in the last audio. And those things that I want to just skip through real quick. In the codependent relationship, the other's dependence on the helper is also profound. The other is bound to the helper because the helper's lengthy aid has impeded their maturity, life skills, or confidence, or enabled their addiction or poor mental or physical health, making them dependent on the helper's assistance. Let me stop right there. We've got senior mothers, fathers, relatives, family, friends who feel like because they're older and because I've helped you and I've done for you and whatever else, therefore you should help me, okay? You should be there for me. So the codependent, in some strange way, ends up having this relationship where the daughter and son now is like the mom, is like the dad, while they're more like the son or like the daughter. I know, strange, right? It flips over time, and now the relative is depending on you to be that great helper, be there for me whenever I call you, and on and on. Okay, now let's go back to the comment, right? She says, I feel I've had a codependent enmeshed relationship with my mom. Okay, now the enmeshed part of it, I want to go there, and we don't need to delve deep about enmeshed relationships. But one of the main things that some of you all have come across are these relationships that are so just filled with I need you, I want you, the person is calling you all the time, the person, it's like they're intertwined. Psych Central is another site that I like. This article is by Margarita Tartakovsky, and basically a refresher on this, I'm just going to skip through, but people in enmeshed relationships are defined more by the relationship, by their individuality. So the relationship dominates everything. That person who's the abuser, they feel so connected based on any number of things. You could have been paying for a lot for them over the years. You may have been the one that was always listening to their dramas and traumas. You may have been the one that just fought their battles, right? And the individual who is the victim in all of this, I can't function without my mama's relationship or connection, or I can't do what I always wanted to do because, well, my dad, what does he think about it? What does, the favorite relative think about it? Everything's so intertwined. Some of you all, you talk to people like this and you're like, that's not me. I'm not looking at that as a close relationship that that person has. I'm looking at that as dysfunction. So they depend on each other to fulfill their emotional needs to make them feel good, whole, or healthy, but they do it in a way that sacrifices psychological health. In other words, their self-concept is defined by the other person, and they lose their individuality to get their needs met. So if I stop being who God has called me to be and fulfill the needs of that selfish relative who it's always about them, then I'm on their good side. But if I decide to embrace my individuality and who God has called me to be, and it looks nothing like what the narcissistic mother or whoever else wants me to be, then I'm the bad guy. And so, of course, here we go. The smear campaign shows up. The person's talking negatively about you to other people. They're saying that you don't appreciate them, you don't respect them. They're going to put their spin on just about anything and everything they don't agree with. And so those flying monkeys who are not down with this sort of talk about codependency and enmeshed relationships, they're just going to believe everything that they hear, if that person happens to be a favorite of theirs. If not, then they may just side with you and say, listen, you need to just stop being caught up in your daughter's business, and you need to stop talking negatively about her. And another thing, everybody that goes against you, you always got issue with. You see, every now and again you get those folks who will stand up and speak truth. Okay, so this gives you some insight as to what she means when she says codependent enmeshed relationship with her mom. Now, the narcissistic traits, do we need to review that? Some of you all check the audios. I got enough of them out there on the self-absorbed, selfish person who's just caught up in all things self, okay? Summarizing it in a nutshell. She's got those traits about her, right? I've been attempting to work on myself and set up boundaries, but I'm struggling again with the enmeshment, right? She wants to be her own person. She wants her own individuality. She doesn't want her world to revolve around mom. But 9 times out of 10, right, there's the guilt. There's the upset. There's the pain. Can't tell mom no, or afraid that mom is going to do something or say something bad or negatively because, right, you're standing up for yourself. Yeah, we get it. Please do get my book, Tell Me Mother You're Sorry, because I just I just pull this narcissistic mother, stepmother, mother-in-law, what have you, that some of these people deal with. I pull her apart. My mom talks negatively about my siblings, their kids, my dad. Let's stop right there. This is always a trait of those individuals who have these enmeshed relationships. They pretty much do this sort of thing to train you to be just like them. They want mini me's. So if mom talks negatively about all these different people, she expects you to go along with her programming. So you're on the phone, or you're at the family holiday event, or you're just dropping by. Sooner or later, she's going to say something negative. And it's going to rub you the wrong way because you might be cool with your siblings, right? And you might be cool with their kids, and everything's okay and all right, and you're getting along with these people, but then here she comes with her negative speech. And then some of these moms, they like to always say, don't tell. Keep this between us. If you do this for me, I'm going to give you more than them. I mean, they they have a script practically that they use on those that follow suit. My parents are in crisis due to financial mismanagement. Okay, so that's a red flag right there. They mismanage their finances, so chances are is that they're looking for somebody in the family to pay for something, help them save for something, bail them out of the next jam, any number of things related to money. But ultimately, you're going to have to do something for them. Okay, we get it. So she says, my parents are in crisis due to financial mismanagement, enabling my youngest sister who stole from them. Okay, so they already got financial issues, but yet they're helping someone in the family who stole. Now, why would they do that? Because 9 times out of 10, that enabling young sister, she co-signs on mom's negativity. She's nodding her head. She's talking negative probably about the others. She's got a special place in mom's heart because maybe she is the youngest, right? And the baby. And I'm going to look out for my baby. And I'll give her the pass as opposed to those other ones. Right? So this sister stole from them, caring for this same sister's daughter who my sister now wants back. So mom is just doing quite a bit for the youngin', huh? Mom says she needs me and I have to pray. Yep, that is classic. Why? Why would she say that? Because it plays on your heartstrings, and she's used it most likely before, and you fell for it, and you had a soft spot for her, and you did all of the things that inconvenienced you. She benefited, and the cycle continues. Then she puts a little spiritual advice in there. Oh, you need to pray, right? Pray for who? Pray for her. She's got to appear like she is the old wise one, in the sense that she's instructed you on doing something that most likely you're already going to do. But here's the thing. Her prayer is pray for the blessings, pray for my health, pray for everything good about me. Instead, your prayer should be, Lord, give me the strength to distance myself because my mother is doing A, B, and C to me. Okay? And he'll do just that. Because the separation has to take place in an enmeshed relationship simply because it is toxic. It is toxic to put aside your individuality, who God has created you to be, who you want to be, to succumb to everything, mom. Sooner or later, you are going to do something, or you may not do something that mom doesn't agree with. Okay? And when you do, she's going to beat you over the head with it. She's going to talk negatively about you to most likely the young sister. That's the game that many of these mothers play. Whoever's willing to listen, whoever is going to join mom in talking negatively, whoever's going to be there whenever mom says jump and they ask how high, that's the one who ends up being that golden child, at least until mom gets tired or she's not getting her needs met from that golden child. Then she starts talking about how all of them are no good and how I can't get anything from them, and on and on. Some of us, we've been exposed to these type of moms. We know all too well. I told her I would pray. So you go on and you bring your personal spirituality into it. And she feels good that that she's on your mind, right? You don't want to give her any type of access, not even with something as simple as this, to your relationship with the one true God. Because where you'll say, I'll pray for you, you'll also end up getting into what God is doing at some point. Then you'll start talking about things that you prayed for, and then she can use all of those things against you one day when she's in one of her moods. You got to be careful. And the enemy has a way of taking what we think is just good and okay and innocent and turning it around for evil. But it's not enough. There you go. See? You said it right there. It's never enough. Money, time, energy, prayer, taking them out somewhere, picking up the phone, calling them, never enough. So then you get tired, don't you? We're going to read on. This gets good. But it's not enough. She's mad because I'm not calling to see how they are doing. There it is, right there. This is classic of the narcissistic mother, okay? Or any narcissist. They're mad because they can't feed off of you. They're mad because you're not available to listen. They're mad because you're not there to do what they want you to do. See, because you're in that enmeshed relationship where you're not allowed to be your own individual. Oh no. You see. So she's mad because I'm not calling to see how they are doing. Saying she gave me life. Here we go. Here comes the guilt. Here comes the guilt. Saying she gave me life, nursed me, and took care of me. All that is designed to get you to feel guilty. Manipulators, they sure know how to make you feel guilty. And those flying monkeys who, once again, know nothing about codependent enmeshed relationships, know nothing about narcissism, they'll say, that's right, she gave you life. The least you could do is call her. I mean, really? Well, maybe I want to take a break. Oh, no, that's your mother. She gave you life. See, so you got to be careful who you talk to, especially those who are close to her. Let them call while you figure out what you want to do. And now I'm not there for them. See, here we go. She's just revealing everything that happens when you do stand up for yourself. Now you're accused of not being there for the family. And you've changed. And she's saying, I'm not the girl I was a few years ago. Mom is saying this about her 37-year-old daughter with 3 children under 5. All of us who know about having little ones, right? And then one being only 2 months old. You don't have time at times to deal with the issues that the little people have. Right? They're crying, they're complaining, they're whining, they're throwing tantrums. And then a grown adult who acts like a child, who wants you to call them, keep up with them, ask them how they're doing and all of that, wants you to make time out of your busy schedule. I remember letting my kids cry just to stay on the phone with my mother. I remember my kids being hungry and me telling my grandmother that I had to get off the phone. And she was pretty good about getting off the phone after she said everything she wanted to say. Okay? And then if I wasn't answering the phone, I was getting voicemail messages saying things like, what are you doing? How come you didn't call me? Don't be a stranger. I love you. And then when you finally connect with them, then they're telling you about how you ignored them and after all I've done, or you've changed. And I mean, they say it in a nice way sometimes, and then other times they get a little bit indignant. So she's experiencing this pulling toward her mother while she's supposed to be tending to her 5-year-old and the 2-month-old, right? And mom's not getting it, apparently. So I'm 37 with 3 children under 5, one being only 2 months old, saying, don't I believe families stick together? Really? Okay, she's wore out, she's tired, she's dealing with her children, and she's not allowed to take a break. She's not allowed to take a long break. How about months or maybe even years? You see, whatever it takes for her to get a break from this guilt trip, break away from the enmeshed relationship, study more about narcissism, whatever it takes. But at the end of the day, you owe this woman nothing. I know it's a bold statement, but that's my mother, and I can hear somebody like, ooh, and I got cold chills and my stomach hurts when she said that. Look, at the end of the day, you don't owe this woman anything because God used her as a willing vessel. That's it, a simple vessel. He brought you into the world, brought your 2 other children into the world. You need to be focused on them, not on adult children who are whining and complaining about how come you're not calling, how come you're not coming around, or whatever else. So then she works she works her magic, right? She gets her daughter to feel guilty. There it is, right there. Do you want her to keep winning? I remember quite a few people that I talked to about this sort of thing said that they felt guilty. How do I get rid of the guilt? I'll tell you. Number one is you don't focus so much on what mom said, what mom did, or anything else. You learn how to focus in on those people who are around you, like that busy under 5-year-old and the 2-month-old. That's more than enough on your plate. If you are focused so much on them, this feeling of guilt will go away, especially when they're crying, right? I got to tend to my kids. Mom, I don't have time right now. Well, yeah, you never have time for me. Exactly. That's an adult child. That's an adult child. I'm feeling guilt because I haven't called. But that passes. That does pass. All of us who have went low contact or no contact with family members, toxic friends, what have you, initially, yes, you do feel guilty because in your mind, that's what you were used to, but you've got to change your mindset on it. Every time you feel guilty, you do something that makes you feel good. Okay? Every time you feel tempted to want to pick up the phone and call her, you call somebody else. Like that friend who you hadn't called in a long time, who's cool, who's nice, who you could get some advice from, or maybe you don't have that friend, but maybe there's a neighbor you can talk to. You see, maybe you're not busy enough. Maybe there's some things in the household that need to be clean. Maybe there's some errands that you've been putting off because you were on the phone chatting with her. Or, you got a project that you always wanted to do, or you wanted to study online, or you wanted to read, but they take so much from you. So all of these things that you wanted to do, they go on the back burner while you're spending this time talking, making arrangements, showing up for them. God did not call any of us to be in those type of relationships where it's all about somebody else and they have no regard for your feelings. So she knows what to do to make you feel guilty because you haven't called, but you don't let her know that ever. You don't let anyone know that. Instead, you go to the one true God with it and you ask him to remove the guilt. I was going to, but then got a barrage of texts saying the above things. You see, she had plans on calling her mother, but that enmeshed relationship, suffocating. I just want to break free. There it is right there. This is what this channel is all about. People wanting to break free. I just want to break free. Those of us who have done this sort of thing, low contact, no contact, you break free when you make the steps. When you take the steps, I should say. When you take the steps to disconnect, when you take the steps to establish your boundaries and tell your mother about those boundaries. Like when I was writing, Tell Me Mother You're Sorry, Grandma was still very much alive. Mom was still very much alive. I told them I was writing a book. I shared some information about the book, but no, I'm not going to be staying on the phone with you or reporting and telling you every little thing so that you can run it through a litmus test and then criticize me about the book. Okay? Part of my breaking free was I had to have a self-talk each and every day. We're not going to feel guilty about not calling. We're not going to feel guilty because somebody said you should feel guilty because that's your mother. We are going to press forward. If anything, isn't that what she wanted me to do? Right? Be independent. Couldn't wait till I got grown and moved out the house. Come on, sometimes you got to go back to those memories that weren't so flattering, so sweet, and so nice in order to give you the motivation to get to that place of freedom. And some people, they just don't want to believe. They don't want to rehash. They don't want to do any of that. But if you do, it's going to remind you of those negative feelings. And you're going to want to make some changes because you don't want to keep experiencing the negativity, right? So you remember when she was being controlling. You remember when she wouldn't let you do certain things. You remember when she had this negative comment and that one about you and everybody else in the family. You remember all of these things, and this is what gives you the motivation to stay out of the evil communication with mom that corrupts good manners. And that's straight out of the Bible. You see, because a lot of times there's that communication that even God is saying, why are you talking to her? And he does do that because he wants us to break free from the God-like worship that goes on. God is a jealous God. So we tend to have this God-like worship for human beings. And that's where we get into trouble. People talk about, oh, well, we don't do statues nowadays. Christians don't, get involved with pagan gods and all this. There are those who get involved with pagan gods, and there's also those who get involved with worshiping their mother, being there for their mother, thinking about their mother, praying for their mother. I'm sure there was other things that you could have been praying for, right? That have nothing to do with praying for her. So when you feel tempted, see, you're going to have to go through the behavioral modification, right? Where every time you feel tempted to want to think about her, pray for her and all of that, you think about something else. You redirect your thoughts. Every time you feel guilty, you say, no, I should not feel guilty today because I have been there for my mother. My mother needed this, my mother needed that. So what is the past? God knows. God knows. And there were times where I said just that. I said, God knows. He knows what my situation is. You see, even when I had nobody there to validate, even when there were no authors who I found at the time that I could relate to regarding the narcissism and all of that, God was there. God knew what I wanted. I wanted to break free. And so he does that. You pray for freedom. That's what you pray for. And you already prayed plenty of prayers concerning your mother. Just put her in God's hands. I don't have the strength or patience to deal with their stuff, plus be there for my husband and children. So this one is real easy. You choose your husband and children. See, we're supposed to say goodbye to moms and dads when we get married. You see, the husband and the wife become one. There are those mothers that don't have good relationships with their husbands, and so they don't mind suffocating children, bringing children around, making children feel guilty, being in their children's business way too much because they don't have a good relationship with whoever they're with. And then some of them don't even have a partner, so they interject themselves into their children's lifestyle because, well, I'm bored. Well, mom needs to get a life. It's not your job or your children's job to entertain. And sometimes parents make the mistake of bringing their children to these narcissistic type of individuals to entertain them, to make them feel good. They become narcissistic supply. And then when that child or children start crying and fussing and inconveniencing the narcissist, now the narcissist is like, excuse me, come get your child. I'm tired. And then, oh, if you want me to watch your child, well, then you're going to have to pay me money. Or, look, your children don't help out like the other grandchildren. So, and they start having these little petty comments and attitudes and strange behaviors and whatever else, right? Too much family, too much family. So you're supposed to be cleaving to your husband, right? So she says that she's tired. She says, I'm tired and I just want to cut off. And she can do just that. Doesn't make her a bad daughter. She just wants peace of mind. She wants to be free. She wants to be able to live her life and be herself. There's nothing wrong with that. So she says she's praying for wisdom, and we can join her in that. She's praying for wisdom because simply she doesn't know what to do anymore. She says she's trying to see what my part or stuff is. Right? So there's some self-evaluation, some self-analyzing that takes place during this time. And as you're learning more and you're looking at more and more YouTube videos on narcissism and enmeshed relationships, you're going to feel empowered because you'll see where you enabled, you'll see where you were brainwashed, you'll see where you were manipulated, and as you learn more about it, you're going to feel empowered. So once again, she says it seems like it's never enough, and that is how it is with the selfish people in our world. It is never enough, and it's the same problems over and over. And sometimes they sound like a broken record because they want to keep telling you about their problems, and then you keep being quiet and you're listening to them talk about their problems, and then you try to interrupt and you try to give advice, and then they talk over you, or if they don't like your advice, they're quick to get off the phone, and then you feel some kind of way about it, and the next thing you know, you find yourself back in that circle again of listening, trying to advise, and they're not listening, and you got to make up in your mind that you want that cycle to end. So with this most recent stuff, the only thing I can think of, she says the only thing she can think of she did, I guess, wrong was not respond back quick enough. Yep, that's it. You got it. See, they want you to pick up that phone as soon as they leave that message. What were you doing? How come you didn't answer? I've been waiting on you to call me back. 24 hours goes by, 48 hours, 72 hours, depending on what type of narcissist you're dealing with. You get in trouble because you didn't call right back. Well, we are not going to fall into any of those games that some of these folks put upon us. And they are games. They're mental games. They're manipulative. They're based in witchcraft, in the sense that they're trying to get you to behave in a certain way that suits them. And we cannot allow people to do that sort of thing. And when they do successfully do that to us, soon as we recognize that, uh-oh, I've been played once again, we've got to stand up for ourselves once again, go back to the drawing board, remind ourselves not to give our energy, our individuality away to appease mom or anybody else. Okay? So I do recommend my book, Tell Me Mother You're Sorry. I'm going to put that up for you to take a look at. This is Tell Me Mother You're Sorry. And as you can see, the book cover, there are chains around the ankles of the man, but those chains could very well be a woman that is wearing them. These relationships are controlling. These relationships don't allow you to be yourself. Some mothers are very quick to tell you to be quiet, to shut your mouth, let me talk. This is how I want you to behave. This is what I want you to do. I didn't raise you to be this way and that way. So every time they do that, what they're doing is they're suffocating your individuality, you growing up, you being your own person. So you've got to be the one to stand up for yourself. Some will agree, others won't agree. We are not walking this earth to people please. We are about pleasing God. And what does God say about your situation? I'm sure He is giving you all sorts of signs, visions, wonders, whether you see them clearly or not, on how to distance yourself from suffocating, controlling individuals who don't want you to be yourself. Okay? God is not like that. He allows us to be ourselves, and He will correct us when we are not falling in line with Him and His will. Okay? But that's for Him to do. You're 37 years old. You have 3 children. It's time to let go and let God. I thank you so much for reaching out. For those of you all who would like to get the book, once again, that is Tell Me Mother You're Sorry. And feel free to leave comments for this young woman who wants very much to break free from her enmeshed relationship with her mother. Blessings to you.